Deep in the steaming heart of the Solomon Islands, where the equator kisses the sea, a war raged not just between empires, but between shadows and secrets. In 1942, ordinary Pacific Islanders, fishermen, farmers, and village elders transformed humble coconut shells into deadly deceptions. These weren't mere fruits. They were the husks of defiance, hiding Allied radios that whispered doom to the Japanese juggernaut. This is the untold saga of how coconuts fooled an empire and saved a campaign. Welcome to WW2's Shadow Echoes, where history's hidden fronts come alive. Hit subscribe, and let's descend into the green inferno. To understand the miracle of the coconut radios, we must first voyage back to the Solomons, a scattered string of 992 islands spanning 1,500 miles of Pacific blue. A British protectorate since 1893, where missionaries bartered Bibles for bêche de mer and planters harvested copra under the Southern Cross. Life moved to the rhythm of tidal canoes and yam festivals. Tribes like the Kwayo and Lao speaking pidgin English laced with Melanesian chants. But in January 1942, as the world reeled from Pearl Harbor, Imperial Japan's sun-emblazoned banners unfurled across the equator. Tokyo's high command, led by the iron-willed Admiral Yamamoto, eyed the Solomons as the southern anchor of their Greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere, a defensive perimeter to shield oil-rich Indonesia from American claws. On May 4th, 1942, Japanese barges sliced through the coral reefs of Tulagi, the tiny administrative hub north of Guadalcanal. Troops from the 8th Combined SNLF, elite naval landing forces, stormed ashore with bayonets fixed, seizing the wireless station and executing a handful of Australian coastwatchers caught in their nightshirts. Guadalcanal itself, the largest island at 90 miles long and 20 wide, fell quietly next. Its 300-kilometer coastline of mangrove swamps and razor-backed ridges became a Japanese stronghold. By July, engineers from the 11th and 13th construction units had bulldozed Lunga Point into a dust-choked airfield, codenamed Rabaul's Watchdog. Slave labor, conscripted islanders under the guise of labor corps, hauled logs through malaria swamps, their backs whipped raw for slowing under the tropical lash. Japanese brutality was swift. Villages razed for gardens, women assaulted in comfort stations, men beheaded for suspected spying. One elder from the Morovo Lagoon recalled in oral histories how patrols strung up resistors from banyan trees, their bodies swaying like forbidden fruit. Enter the coastwatchers, a clandestine fraternity of 19 pre-war expatriates, planters, missionaries, district officers, scattered like seeds across the chain. Coordinated by the Australian Naval Intelligence's Ferguson network, they were the eyes in the palm trees. On Guadalcanal, 28-year-old District Officer Martin Clemens, a lanky Cambridge graduate with a mustache like a young Hemingway, hunkered in the mountains above Lunga. Arriving in the Solomons in 1938 as a colonial cadet, Clemens had mapped rivers and mediated tribal feuds. Now, he was a ghost. His diary, smuggled out post-war, paints a vivid hell. The air hums with cicadas and the drone of zeros. Every rustle could be a patrol. Clemens's team included the Solomon Islands Defense Force, SIDF, loyal native scouts like the indomitable Sergeant Jacob Vouza, a 47-year-old fisherman with scars from Malayton headhunting days. Vouza's village on Guadalcanal's Florida group had sheltered Clemens since the invasion, ferrying him supplies via hidden coves. But radios were the lifeline. Type 3 T23 sets, backpack-sized marvels with 50-watt output, crystal-controlled for shortwave bursts to Espiritu Santo, 600 miles southeast. These Aussies weighed 40 pounds, guzzled batteries like grog, and blared like banshees if mishandled. Detection meant instant death. Japanese direction-finding vans prowled the coasts, triangulating signals with chilling precision. Early hides were crude, buried in bamboo thickets or lashed to coral overhangs. But as patrols intensified, banzai sweeps torching hamlets, the islanders innovated. Drawing from ancestral cunning honed against headhunters and blackbirders, they turned the ubiquitous coconut, the tree of life providing milk, meat, and thatch, into perfect camouflage. Hollowed husks, lined with fronds for damping, swallowed antennas and valves whole. The fibrous exterior blended with beach litter. A kick revealed only sweet water, not treason. Clemens's first coconut op came in late July 1942. Perched on Mount Austin, his SIDF runner, a wiry youth named Silas from the Lao tribe, cradled a disguised set downhill. "Master, the brown men come plenty," Silas pigeoned, eyes darting to the bay where Japanese cruisers anchored. Silas's clan, displaced from coastal gardens, had mastered the art. Elders like Chief Layla of Rendova taught carving techniques passed from forebears. Scoop the eye with a shark tooth adze, weave pandanus fiber for seals. Women, the unsung weavers, plaited carrying slings mimicking market baskets. On August 4th, as U.S. intelligence buzzed from intercepted chatter, Clemens keyed a burst. Enemy airfield progress 50%. Reinforcements due 10th. The signal, muffled in its shell, arced to Task Force 62 under Vice Admiral Frank Jack Fletcher. Little did they know, this whisper would ignite the first Allied counterpunch. August 7, 1942. Operation Watchtower erupts. At 0600, the 1st Marine Division, 11,000 Leathernecks under Major General Alexander Vandegrift, stormed Red Beach on Guadalcanal's north coast, while paratroopers seized Tulagi. Japanese defenders, caught flat-footed with just 2,200 construction troops, melted into the kunai grass. But the airfield, half-finished, christened Henderson Field by the Marines, became the prize. As bulldozers roared to completion under Marine sweat, the real battle brewed offshore. Japanese counterstrikes loomed, and without eyes ashore, Fletcher's carriers were blind. That's where the coconut network shone. Clemens, now coordinating from a ridgetop basha of sago palm thatch, orchestrated a relay. Signals hopped island to island via islander canoes, each leg a coconut-shrouded risk. On New Georgia, 200 miles west, Donald the Mad Kennedy, a burly Kiwi planter with a penchant for native tattoos and private armies, mirrored the tactic. Kennedy, who'd proselytized headhunters in the 1920s, commanded 150 SIDF levies armed with captured Arasakas. His Segi outpost radio, dubbed the Coconut Telegraph, hid in a grove where patrols foraged. Kennedy's diary brims with bravado. "The Japs think islanders are bush Kanakas. We make them dance to our tune." One entry recounts a runner, a Malaytan named Timothy, swimming 3 miles with a shell-strapped set, evading a destroyer's searchlight. Timothy's transmission on August 23rd. 3 cruisers, 8 transports, bearing 310, alerted the Cactus Air Force to the Battle of the Eastern Solomons. Dive bombers from Enterprise hammered the convoy, sinking the light carrier Ryujo and crippling 2 cruisers. Ironbottom Sound, the strait off Savo Island, earned its moniker that week. 7 Allied and 23 Japanese hulls to the seabed. The islanders' role deepened beyond hides. Women like Maria from the WWII tribe, grandmother to post-war chroniclers, smuggled batteries in woven bilum bags. posing as betel nut vendors. Children, pint-sized sentries, etched enemy positions on slate tablets for later relay. But peril shadowed every shell. Japanese sanko policies, kill all, burn all, loot all, escalated. In September, a patrol raided Leila's village on Rendova, executing 5 for harboring whites. Leila's son, speared but surviving, crawled to Clemens with a warning carved on bark. Enemy inland, 500 strong. That intel foiled a banzai charge on Bloody Ridge, where Colonel Kiyonao Ichiki's Ichiki detachment, 917 fanatics, charged Marine lines on August 21st. Machine guns and 37mm cannons reaped 789 Japanese lives in 90 minutes. Ichiki's ritual seppuku ended the folly. Technically, the coconuts were genius. The T-23's dipole antenna, 20 feet of copper wire, coiled inside the husk like a fern frond, damped by coconut coir to cut interference. Operators used burst transmission, compressed Morse at 60 words per minute lasting seconds, to evade fixes. Batteries, scavenged from downed Zeros, lasted 48 hours. Islanders recharged via hand-cranked dynamos disguised as fishing reels. One near miss. On October 11th, during the Santa Cruz carrier clash, a signal from Kennedy's post glitched. Static betrayed the grove. Japanese Marines swarmed, bayonets probing nuts like mines. Kennedy's scouts ambushed from vines, rolling boulders that crushed 12. The radio survived, its shell dented but intact, relaying the kill. By November, the network spanned 20 posts, from Bougainville's snowy roads to Choiseul's Jack Red. Islanders ferried 500 tons of supplies, quinine, ammo, spam, via the slot, night runs in whaleboats. Sergeant Vouza's heroism peaked September 20th. Captured by Ichiki remnants, bayoneted 7 times, tongue slit for silence, he chewed through ropes, crawled 12 miles to Marine lines. His pigeon gasp, enemy 3000 Cumming Ridge, saved Edson's Ridge Runners at Bloody Knoll, costing Japan another 200. Vouza's Medal of Honor citation echoes, a symbol of Solomonic steel, but the true twist, the genius deception, unfolded in the coconut's dual role. Not just hides, but lures. Islanders planted ghost groves, dummy shells along bogus trails, wired to noisemakers of bamboo clappers mimicking patrols. Japanese sweeps chased phantoms, wasting fuel on wild goose chases, while real ops hummed unseen. On November 12th to 15th, the naval battle of Guadalcanal, the network peaked. Clemens's burst from a shell in the Matanikau Valley, battleship off Tulagi, escorts 5, guided Rear Admiral Daniel Callahan's task force. In the cauldron of point-blank broadsides, USS Washington and South Dakota traded salvos with Kirishima. The battleship exploded in flames, its 14-inch guns silenced forever. The Empire's first capital ship lost to surface action. Yamamoto, aboard the flagship Nagato, slammed fists on charts. How do they know our every move? His answer, coconut cunning. The fooled empire unraveled. Tokyo's Tokyo Express runs, destroyers ferrying 10,000 reinforcements, bogged in ambushes. Islanders like Byukugasa and Ironi Kumana, canoe scouts from the Lao Lagoon, extended the ruse. In August 1943, post-Guadalcanal, they'd etch maps on shells for downed airmen. But during the canal push, their canoes shadowed convoys, dropping chum of false debris to draw subs. One op, a shell floated with abandoned antenna, luring a patrol boat to a reef. Allied subs torpedoed it from the shadows. By December, Henderson Field's Wildcats and Dauntlesses, fueled by coastal sightings, owned the skies. Major General Kiyotake Kawaguchi's 17,000-man thrust on the Gifu strongpoint faltered October 23rd to 26th. Coconut relays pinpointed his flanks. Artillery from the 11th Marines pulverizing bunkers. 3,000 Japanese dead. Kawaguchi's diary wailed of invisible eyes in the vines. The evacuation, Operation K, on February 7, 1943, was the death knell. Under moonless skies, 11,000 emaciated troops, down from 36,000, fled in barges, harried by P-38 Lightnings vectored from shell-hidden posts. Guadalcanal cost Japan 31,000 lives, 38 ships, 683 planes. Allies, 7,100 men, 29 hulls, 615 birds. But the islanders paid dearest. 1,000 civilians dead, villages ash, gardens trampled. Yet their shells echoed victory. Kennedy's new Georgia force, swollen to 300, liberated Munda Airfield in July 43, a stepping stone to Bougainville. Clemens, knighted post-war, credited My Brown Brothers in his memoir Alone on Guadalcanal. Without their husks, we'd be flotsam. The Empire, blinded by racial hubris, viewing Melanesians as inferior bushmen, never suspected the groves teemed with traitors. The shadow of those coconut radios lingers in every Solomon palm today. Guadalcanal's battlefields, now eco-parks crisscrossed by trails, host annual ceremonies where Lao elders recount the Shell War, a testament to indigenous agency in a white man's conflict. Sergeant Vouza's knife, etched with Marine Corps ink, rests in Honiara's museum. Biuku and Aroni's canoes, symbols of rescue, they later saved JFK in '44, inspire films like PT-109, the campaign's echo. It shattered Japan's offensive myth, buying time for Midway's miracle and MacArthur's island hopping. In our drone-filled age, it reminds, tech bows to human grit. What hidden husk of history chills you most? Drop it in the comments. Did you know JFK's coconut plea? Like if the Solomons stole your heart, subscribe for weekly unveilings and ring the bell. Next Tuesday, whispers that toppled Nazi guards from within. Until the shadows call again, stay vigilant. This is WW2 Shadow Echoes.